Right, I'm Robin Nerney.
And Jason Pacheco.
And we're your hosts of Rhode to Real Estate, a podcast about real estate, small business, and the independent spirit. Today, our guest is Garrett Lehan, who is currently flipping properties as his main focus in real estate. Garrett, welcome, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you got into real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. So I grew up in Massachusetts, went all the way through college, got a business degree in college.
Where'd you go?
Bryant University. So that's how I ended up in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
Going to Bryant and got my first job down here.
Great school.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. College was a good time and learned a lot in the business field, which was all pretty new to me. So I really enjoyed that, and then got my first job in sales, which I had a lot of fun doing. Going out to California bi-monthly for I was selling telecom, and then COVID hit, and I was cold calling from my bedroom.
Right,
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's just about where that ended.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But I'd always had a little bit of interest in real estate. Not exactly sure where it came from, but knew that I wanted to own property. So by the time COVID hit, right around July 2020, I bought a 3-family in Providence, FHA loan, house hack, and we were renovating in it. So I bought it with my parents. I bought it, and then they said, hey, we'll give you 50% of whatever you put down for 50% ownership. So I was like, yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah.
So we were renovating it, and I was not helpful at all with painting. I was a crappy painter. New cabinets, just doing things, and I wasn't very helpful. And they were like, damn, like you are not handy. Whereas, they're both pretty handy. And my buddy's dad was higher up at a construction company and had been offering me jobs through college, kind of saying, hey, like if you ever want to come work here, we got a spot for you. So I called him up knowing that I wanted to get handy, wanted to be in real estate, and said, hey, you have any jobs available? Like, I'm ready, making 100 cold calls from my bedroom every day, like not having fun. I went and started doing construction, commercial carpentry. So no management, anything like that. So literally, just wearing a tool belt every day. Nice. And had a lot of fun. Started saving as much money as I could, knowing that the goal was going to be to continue to buy property.
Oh, excellent. How long did you do that as far as the construction part of it?
Little over 3 years.
Oh, wow.
In that time, I was living as frugally as I could. I was house hacking that 3-family, so my monthly housing expense was, maybe a few $100 a month. Living alone, eating rice, beans, chicken.
Sounds apocalyptic.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty focused on just stacking away money, knowing that it was all going to go towards down payments, and that was the goal. So that's what we did. We bought that first. Well, I bought that first one. They gave me half the money, and then beginning of April 2021. They bought one. I gave them half the down payment. That's kind of how we started buying. Me and my parents, I'd buy one, they'd give me half. They'd buy one, I'd give them half. That's still how we're doing it, actually, and for the buy and holds. So it's been fun to work with them as well. But towards the end of 2023, about October 2023, kind of just started going a little stir crazy in the construction field. It was, I was starting to. We had a few properties by then. I got pretty into personal development, trying to get better every day, learn more and more about real estate. And there wasn't a lot of others who I was around all day that kind of had that mindset, which no fault to them. I mean, construction's a great day. It's good career as well, but I was kind of growing out a little bit, maybe intellectually. Just trying to spend my day kind of doing different things. So I kind of just took the leap, said to myself, I have a good grasp on construction now. I've a pretty good understanding of real estate, how to run numbers, how deals work, etc. So I just gave myself a couple weeks and quit without much of a plan. Looking back, probably could have had a little bit more of a plan on,
Right.
What exactly my day would look like, whether it be marketing or networking or different things like that. I remember sitting at my kitchen table the first day that I wasn't working construction, kind of like, well, shit, like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yeah, basically. Then just started to, continue to educate myself and really like a lot of social media, podcasts, books, networking on kind of what the day-to-day of a investor looks like. So I have my license hung up in Mass with Cameron Real Estate Group, Tommy Caffarella. So he's a big agent investor. Like he pushes all his agents to invest in real estate, and he holds conferences on what your day should look like. So I went to a few of those, and it was a lot of marketing. You got to get in front of people. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. So when did you get your license in that span?
April of 2023. And I just kind of got it to get it. Honestly, I haven't really used it still. But yeah, I just kind of got it to get it, honestly, thinking I'd be able to make offers at the minimum. And if, we ever sold anything, I could do that too. And maybe, whatever the fees are for the license, it would be worth it in the end. Just started to kind of figure out what my day was supposed to look like and chip away at, kind of building what habits I should be doing every day that can move me forward. And
yeah, I feel like I hear a lot of people say, I want to do real estate full time, but I'm nervous. It's kind of a common thing.
Yeah.
So what are some of those daily habits that you found are really important and you have to do it?
Yeah. So definitely outreach. So the first thing I went with was cold calling. I got a list off PropStream, had it skip traced, maybe like 3,000 properties or so. Just started dialing.
The good old days, right?
Yeah, on my cell phone, not using a dialer. Like I know people nowadays will have like a 5-ring dialer going. Like I was just plugging away. Maybe a pretty inefficient way to do it.
Did you hear about some new lawsuit that's potentially?
Yeah. Like as of a couple of days ago, right?
Right. I think he got postponed or suspended for a period to go back in front of court. And then if the judge says like it's on again, 10 days will be active. Something like that. There's not much news on it, which is kind of scary. You can't really educate yourself too much on it, but
yeah. Well, I know a lot of people do like automated texting, which I think is a part of that law.
Right.
Like ringless voicemail, different things like that, which will probably all be affected a little bit. I wasn't doing anything automated.
Right.
I'm still not.
Yeah.
Like I said, it might have been inefficient, but I was literally dialing, waiting for either a F off, a voicemail, or
No, it's always pleasant.
Yeah.
Now, did your sales job before obviously helped you for the cold calling? What's going on, everyone? So when I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and there's a lot of times where I need to, refer out an excavator, someone to do clean outs, gravel, grading, digging, stuff like that, junk removal. So if any of you ever need any of that type of work taken care of, reach out to Tom at Legacy Excavating at 401-227-5399. Reach out to Tom. He'll take care of you. Back to the show.
Yeah,
I think in real estate,
a piece of it was, being comfortable on the phone, a little bit of sales training. I was selling telecom. I think I mentioned that. So they put us through a at least a few week training program when I got there. Just kind of.
And what are some of those cold calling tips? Very general.
Yeah, the looking back to the training, one thing I remember is kind of like a name, mission, company, permission.
Yeah.
So coming out, Garrett Lehan reaching out to you for, how to help you sell your house without, having to use an agent or something like that. Company name, which for me is just me.
Yeah.
And then permission, do you have a minute or is now a bad time to talk? Something like that.
Okay.
That's kind of the staple that I remember from back then. But again,
do you use it still, or?
I would say I'm a little more fluid, I would say. A little more informal.
Yeah.
Just trying to have conversation with people, which is something that, I think I'm okay at, so I don't try and get too in depth. Could always get better, I'm sure.
I'm not sure if there's a science to it.
Yeah.
Like, hello, click.
Yeah. You're making a lot of calls. You're not getting the chance to get into it too often.
How many conversations? One?
Yeah.
That's definitely.
I'd go, so my goal every day was 100 dials, which, might not sound crazy, but by physically dialing it took, a good 4 hours, maybe a couple breaks in there. But I'd go 3-4 days with like no good conversations, just like, shit, what have I gotten done the past 3 days?
Right.
But finally maybe I started in October, and towards the end of December, got a hold of somebody with a condo in Marlborough, Mass. They lived in New Mexico. They had it rented out to an old friend for, below half of market value. They were looking to retire and realized, like, we got a bunch of equity over in this condo. We're not making anything on it.
And this is from a prop stream list?
Yeah. It was number right around 2,300 on my list. Yeah. So 2,300 calls in.
Wow.
I went back and
no, that's cool to hear.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it took like, if you think 100 calls a day, whatever that math is, 2,300 or 23 days. Yeah. So, and with probably, surely some inconsistency in there.
Yeah. 23 days to get one yes.
Yeah. Well, I got the deal, which was awesome. I mean, looking back, I'd getting a deal every 23 days.
Right.
I'd take that still.
Yeah.
But
so how'd the condo go? Yeah. How'd that go?
One went really well. I got into a little bit of negotiation. I was nervous, I'll say. So
were you with your parents on this one?
No, this was just me.
Okay.
So the local buy and holds are with my parents. We have a few in Rhode Island and one in Boston. But the flipping thing is kind of my venture of active income, if you will, replace W-2 income. So, I was nervous, and it was when I bought the deal, I thought that the ARV was going to be a lot lower than I ended up going with. But I was nervous, and I made a pretty low offer, like, I guess you could call it an anchor, but I'm not sure how comfortable going higher I was.
That's kind of exactly where I am. Like, again, my goal is to do a flip this year, and I'll just make a couple offers a week, but they're so low. And I'm like, if I was a seller, like, I'm not taking that. Yeah. It's tough. But
it's almost, where are you looking for your deals?
Anywhere in Rhode Island.
On market or off market?
Well, I have my own off market process I'm doing too, but there'll be some days where I'm like, I went through this off market list. Let me streamline NMLS, see what's there.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's it's definitely valuable being the only person they're talking to, right? Like, they're not shopping it on MLS.
Right.
Plenty of people could be coming in, especially if they're looking to occupy the property. It's just going to be a higher offer.
Yeah.
But
so you set that low price.
Yeah, I anchored pretty low. I think it was like 150, and they came back at like 240. I was like, thought we had one here. Like, move on to the next one.
All verbal negotiations, texts, emails,
phones, and emails, because they lived in New Mexico. So over the phone, and then they say, all right, let's think about it, and then we'd get on the phone another day, a couple days later.
How long was that dragged out? Like, negotiation?
Maybe like a week. Oh, okay. So really not that bad. I mean, they
were you stressed out, losing sleep during that week?
No, because I didn't think I had it. Once they came back at there, I was like, of course I'm going to keep the conversation going, but there's nothing here for me, right? But then, I kind of said, like, you guys are, sound like great people, but I had built some really good rapport with them. Like, even some of the phone calls were just to catch up. Like, what are you up to this week? Because they like to golf. I like to golf, like different things. And then finally, they came back and were like, we could do like 185. And I just wanted to do a deal.
Right.
And even 185, like, I'm, punch it into my spreadsheet, and I'm like, it's not like it doesn't hit the number that I want to hit, but let's do it. Let's do a deal.
Yeah.
So bought it at 185. I did the work myself. Actually, my parents helped out, which they didn't get paid for. They helped out with a lot of the painting in there.
So now you must have felt more confident with your workmanship since you now had the construction.
3 years of it was commercial carpentry. 3 years of doing that, I was pretty confident with whatever needed to be done. I could either learn how to do it or do it by then.
And you were confident with your rehab costs, like, oh, that's going to cost X, Y, and Z. You knew it.
Yeah, actually, on that condo, I came in under my expected rehab just by shopping bargain for things, you know.
And, how extensive was the rehab?
Not very much.
That's ideal.
Cosmetic, so floors,
The best.
kitchen, bath, paint. That's really it. And then like some, you know, we'd do like neat little stuff like an accent wall or you know, we painted the fireplace, like things like that, just to like make it look different than the other condos in the community. But it wasn't much. I figured it'd cost around 30 grand. And I got it done for like 23. So like the vinyl plank, right? I put vinyl plank flooring in there, which I know that Home Depot brand Life Proof that like $3.69 a foot or something. I found one that was going out of stock at like $1.69 a foot, right? So you chop $800 off right there, and then like you buy the discount paint and you just do things like that to try and keep driving it down. Because this is all money I'd saved. Right. So I'm trying not to spend it. Yeah. So my expected ARV on that going in was like 260, 265. And then as it went on, I kind of realized like, oh, this place looks really nice. Like we did a nice kitchen there, all stainless steel, everything. So I went on at 282, I believe. A couple days later, I had an offer at 330. Wow. Like, all right. Like, you know, that's awesome. That's a good, I was pretty pumped about that. Like that basically, one solidified like, all right, I can do it. Two, I'm going to make money. Like, cause I quit my job thinking like, I hope I make money. Now it's like, all right, like I'm going to make money. Like, and it, bought me, and I had some good money stashed away, but it bought me, another year plus of living expenses if I needed it, right? If shit hit the fan,
So when you're doing the rehab, are you just focused on that? Or are you still looking for another deal? Are you cold calling?
That's a good question. So I was just focused on that, and then the rehab took about 5 weeks, and then maybe another couple weeks of it went pretty quick. Another couple weeks of like getting it, I guess, market ready and putting it on the market of me. I don't really know what I was focused on at the time, but I probably wasn't working as hard as I should have on the next deal. And then whatever, call it 8 weeks went by. I'm like, shit, I haven't prospected in 8 weeks. I got no leads in the pipeline, no conversations going. I was like, now I got to start cold calling again. I got another 2,300 to go. So that was a good learning experience for me. Was you got to, it's deal flow, which is still something I struggle with. I don't know. I wouldn't say everyone does, but I definitely struggle with deal flow and continual leads coming in. That's something I'm working on every day, is to prospect and find people, but figure out a way to get some inbound leads, because I don't want to cold call forever or whatever it be. You look at some of the most successful wholesalers or flippers or whatever it be in our area or in the country. It's a lot of inbound leads are what's working. So that's something that I'm trying to get going for myself as people come to me, motivated sellers, right? It's a lot easier when they come to you than trying to find them.
I've got tons of people knocking on my door, and I'm like, come on in.
I wish, right? And with the condo flip, did the condo association ever get involved? Did you need the association's approval for anything? Or?
This one was, so I used hard money on it. And with hard money, I think with most financing, the condo needs to be warrantable. Do you know what that? You familiar with all that?
I'm not.
All right, so I'll probably butcher this a little bit, but for HOA or for condo to be warrantable, 50% or less than 50% of the units need to be less than 50% of the units can be rented, so the owner needs to live there. The HOA can't have any lawsuits against it. There can't be any commercial use at the property. And then there was one other thing that I'm not going to remember right now.
Something.
Yeah, I guess maybe their financials need to be good health
and all that stuff.
So when I bought it,
did your hard money lender require a condo questionnaire filled out?
Yep.
Did they really? Interesting.
Yeah. They did. And I'm laughing because on the back end, I had to pay for the HOA to do the questionnaire, and they charged me like $900 to do it for like literally answer 10 questions. It was
You were
$900.
pissed.
I couldn't believe it. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just trying to get rid of this place.
Yeah.
But the condo was warrantable when I bought it, or at least appeared to be, or passed to be. But on the way out, it did not meet conditions to be warrantable. So that buyer that came in at 3:30, their financing fell through like 8 days before closing. I was like, oh, shit.
You must have been like, this is too good to be true, that number.
Yeah, so I did end up having to drop it. We ended up dropping to 310 because the issue with the warrantability was the HOA's financials being in bad standing. They basically had no reserves. It was poorly run, I guess would be a good way to put it. And then the roof was falling apart, so they had a new roof coming. So the price drop I had to do would have been my condo's portion of the new roof getting put on. So I basically ate that. It was still a great deal for me. But yeah, so it was a challenge to sell on the back end because nobody could get financing for it. But a lender I've used before as a portfolio loan, so they kept the loan on their books. I basically called him. I was like, I won't drop his name here. I don't want anyone getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't send me anything about the condo. Like,
Yeah.
don't send me anything about the HOA. Don't send me any information. Like, if I don't see it, I don't have to say anything. And,
Right.
I'll get this buyer approved. And I was like, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
And he got it done. Got it done pretty quickly, too. We pushed
Good.
back closing maybe a couple of weeks, but it closed. So.
And that was your first foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But now, we met before, obviously. Why don't you talk a little bit about, so I think you're in the middle of projects and you live in the homes a little bit sometimes too, right? On the buy and holds you have?
Yeah, so I've so that first 3-family that I bought, that one got renovated pretty extensively through an insurance claim. Actually,
Mhm.
I got 3 new kitchens out of it.
Wow.
Maybe my 4th day of home ownership. It was in South Providence. I was the only person in that house that spoke English, and water started pouring out the back of the house. And one of the
Wait,
tenants,
day 3 of living in there?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, literally the 3rd day I had it.
There's water pouring through your
pouring
house.
out the back of the house,
Oh,
like coming
okay.
out like to the exterior,
Oh,
up from like basically my floor. Like, I don't know what to do, right? Like
No
3 days into
construction.
home ownership. So I'm sure I called my dad or someone was like,
Yeah.
look at this. I
Yeah.
took a video of it just spurting out, and he was like, yeah, we got to figure out what's going on there, obviously. And it ended up in the insurance route. I hired a public adjuster and then a local remediation company who I still have a good relationship with that gentleman today, but they helped me out a lot. So I got 3 new kitchens out of it, which helped with the property value.
Did the
and rents.
insurance change?
Yeah, I
pricing?
got dropped.
Did you really?
Yeah, by that insurance company. Oh, yeah. Once they file a claim, they want nothing to do with it, right?
What was the problem with where was the water?
Pipe had burst at some point.
Okay.
So I bought that property. It had cockroaches in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It wasn't, that my inspector missed a few things, but all that got solved.
Perfect time to pause for our episode's sponsor, House Doctor with Home Inspections. If anyone needs a home inspection done, call Mike at House Doctor Home Inspections. He's licensed in Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut. Just call Mike at 401-597-0050. Look at that plug.
That's a good segue.
Yeah,
That's a good one. Excellent.
But yeah,
A good inspector is crucial.
yeah.
So he missed a few things, but either way, it all got handled through insurance. And then all my buddies were living up in Boston at the time. So my girlfriend Lauren and I kind of wanted to live up there. So I ended up going and living in Boston and
And
renting
did you have
for a
tenants
little
in
bit.
there?
Yeah, I had tenants.
Did the insurance pay for them to go to hotels or something?
I just chopped the rent in half for
Yeah.
the period of time that the kitchens were being worked on.
Were they pissed or couldn't
No,
even
'cause
speak
they-
English, right?
I hadn't raised rent on them.
Yeah.
I knew a little bit of Spanish at the time, just from taking it through the
Yeah.
years and the translator app. But no, I don't know. I like to think I'm like a friendly landlord,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like I just kind of tried to work with them.
Yeah.
I literally chopped the rent in half,
Yeah.
and tried to give them whatever they needed to
Mhm.
live comfortably. But I didn't go through kind of the insurance trying to collect missed rent or put anyone in a hotel or anything
Right.
like that. We just kind of worked We were all in the same boat, so
Right.
we were just kind of like, let's get through this together.
Yeah.
And they got new kitchens out of it, right? So
Right.
it was kind of a win for them.
It's a shaky boat.
Yeah.
You've really, actually, you know what? This is amazing. You've gone through a lot of. I mean, you've had a pretty intense education. How many years have you been involved in real estate?
4 or 5, almost 5.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that 3-family, I ended up figuring out how to do a 1031 exchange into a primary occupancy. Like, so I was able to use a 5% down loan to buy a 2-family in Boston. So I just took the profits from selling that one and put them directly as a down payment.
So you sold that one.
I sold that.
How long did you hold it for?
Maybe like 18 months, maybe
Yeah.
like 14 to 18 months, somewhere in there. But I came across a 2-family in South Boston. I say that I started the 1031 process prior to finding that and got down to a week to identify.
Yeah.
And luckily came across a 2-family in Boston that it worked. There were 2 beds on the first floor and 4 upstairs. So it worked as, the upstairs unit qualifying for the requirements for the 1031. So I was able to just move the proceeds. It was about $90,000 and put that directly as a down payment on that 2-family in Boston, which was great because we get to live up near our friends. Obviously, it's a very high appreciation market up there, so that house doesn't cash flow like crazy, but it continues to have really great mortgage pay down and appreciation. We renovated that first unit, so it does really well with rent now that we're not living there. We got to spend a couple years up there living in Boston and having fun.
Right.
So that was a win-win. And in the meantime, still kind of picking up properties with my parents where, they would be the ones on the loan and me giving them half the money for that.
So while you're in Boston, I'm sorry, is this when you're working for kind of corporate sales job or?
No, by then I'm doing the construction.
You're in construction.
Yeah. That I started the construction company, started working for them in like August of 2020. So like a month or 2 after I bought that first 3-family.
Right.
Like I said, like once we started renovating my unit in that house and realizing how basically useless I was when it came to renovation, it was a pretty quick transition for me to be like, all right, let me just go do something else then.
Yeah.
Trying to get handy here.
So flip's done. What did you do after that? After the condo?
Yeah. Well, I bought I ended up moving down to Rhode Island. I was living in Boston at the time. So I had some mail-ins going around in Providence, and one of the letters, I was looking for flips. One of the letters was a woman who was looking to sell her house, but it wasn't quite the price that I would want to buy a flip for. But it did work pretty good for a live-in flip. Mm-hmm. So I ended up buying the house as a primary, moving down here, and I'm kind of still living, flipping that. Yeah. That's right in Providence, the Elmhurst neighborhood of Providence. Which
It's a good neighborhood, I like that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's the neighborhood where we have a few rentals now. It's kind of like our go-to neighborhood, if you will. So I'm doing that, live and flip there, and I have the flip going on there right now that your son found. So I bought that deal and then started kind of just hunting for more.
Now, how did you find that deal? You said mailers, but were you going off a list or?
Yeah, so pulled a list of I don't know what the criteria was, something with like 10 years or greater since the last sale, maybe like 80% plus equity, certain square footage probably on there, age of owner, probably something like 50 years or greater for the age of owner. Yeah, PropStream or Deal Machine. I've used both of them. I'm not sure which one.
Are you generating the list off the app, or are you printing the list then making the list off on some other platform? Or the right mailers, I'm sorry. The mailers, right?
No, different platform.
Yeah.
Those mailers actually, in that little neighborhood, I sent them out as letters, not postcards. Mm-hmm. The postcards are a lot cheaper. But I think the letters probably have a little bit of a higher, maybe, opening rate and responsiveness.
What so on platform they use for the letters and postcards?
We printed them out and
you did
and put them in an envelope. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's so bought that house. Like I said, kind of still working on that, and then got back to prospecting. There I wasn't as disciplined maybe as I should have been with the cold calling. Slowed down on that a little bit, but just continuing to focus on networking.
So you're still cold calling?
So I'm not cold calling like I was, where like I was just ripping dials. Like I didn't know what the house looked like. I didn't know anything. Now I'm doing a little bit more targeted outreach, where like I'll go through a driving for dollars list and I'll cold call all those people.
So will you drive for dollars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say that's definitely important to do, driving for dollars.
Yeah. So my thought on that is we're all using the prop streams and the deal machines. Like we've all got the same list, right? And especially like Moss out here, like they're beating me to it. There's no doubt, you know.
That's your son's theory, same as his.
Which is
kind of like the list everyone's hunting. It's just a quantity base. He'd rather have a smaller list that's more quality leads that less people have, and he'll investigate and not just
so that
give up.
You have an eye on it, so it's going to be something you've seen.
Yeah, and just you know those databases are buying all their records from public records, so they've all got the same thing. But maybe the house with, you know, the tarp on the roof down the road didn't make its way into public records yet as a code violation or whatever it be. So that might not be getting a piece of mail from anybody else because it might not meet the criteria that you punch into your computer.
I hear you. That's true.
So if you can lay eyes on it and basically
Right.
put your own criteria, you know, this has, you know, tall grass on a tarp, all right, like it's got 2 violations against it. It's, you know, maybe a higher likelihood of being a motivated seller, then I think that's a good way to you know, add properties to who you're mailing, because nobody else has that list. You know, it's your own
That's true. No, I agree with that.
database of property.
Yeah. I want to just skip back a little. I don't want to get to today's tasks. I want to get back just a little bit more. So you sold the condo, successful flip, and now what did you get into next? What was next on the timeline?
Yeah, so looking for more deals. So I went dry for a few months at least.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get my hands on anything, making some offers, but not as many as I should have.
Right. Offers, were they on market or just kind of?
So I had some leads. No, mostly off market.
Mm-hmm.
I made a couple on the market, but trying to do most things off market. So I had a couple leads just because I was continuing to mail,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing converted. I just
Right.
wasn't getting traction on anything
Mhm.
very good.
So it sounded like the mailers are kind of a hit from your, you know, you sent out mailers to Providence, you got a house from it. You've sent out some more mailers and you're kind of putting offers out, but nothing's connecting. So
Yeah. I'm not sending out a ton yet.
Right.
And I think that one thing that, you know, I made a mistake was not being as consistent as I should have been with the mailers. I probably took, you know, 3 months off at one point of mail, probably because I was just being cheap and didn't want to
Right.
buy more mail, which is, you know, probably
is this
shooting
still
yourself in
you
the foot.
writing, or is it now?
No,
you still
now
the computer?
I'm buying them through a service, postcards.
Yeah.
Get them for like 50 cents a piece.
Is that through Deal Machine?
No, I'm using actually they're out of Warwick, All the Answers,
Okay.
just a local print mail company. They've been really good to work with.
And so they'll mail for you? Is that what
Yeah,
happens? Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, they've been, or at least my contact over there has been really great to work with, and talking through, you know, design ideas or different things like that. Just ways to appeal to people to get them to pick up the phone and call you, right? 'Cause,
Right.
You know, it's it's not a cheap endeavor to hope that people will reach back out to you. So yeah, like I said, like I probably took a little bit too long off, just being, you know, frugal or cheap,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. And it probably disrupted my deal flow a little bit. So I want a good little chunk there, without any deals. You know, having some conversations. So put a emphasis on networking and you know, trying to get back out in front of people the last probably 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Really been trying to, you know, hit the ground with that. And
Now, when you say that, because it's a little vague. So when you say getting in front of people, so through phone calls and then meeting them.
yeah, so through like the targeted calling that I had mentioned, like kind of if I had an idea of the property,
Have you ever gone to a property and just knocked on the door?
I did that a few times at the beginning.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? So you already know, right? If I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and I need someone to help my clients get a mortgage, get a house, right? And I got John Dolbec. He's crushing it. He's got a team called a Modern Team over at Primary Residential Mortgage. So if you want to get pre-approved and buy your first home, reach out to John Dolbec and his team. Call or text. It's 401-321-4401. That's 401-321-4401. Back to the show.
It was a little nerve-wracking.
How'd you make out?
I just got told no. Like, they weren't
Yeah.
extremely rude or anything, but it was just like a no, get out of here.
Yeah, but that's awesome because there's that line that you crossed over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time. It's probably, I'm sure it works for people.
Most of us don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot
I think
of things that are hard to do.
a lot of it, I think, is getting out of your comfort zone.
I think the whole thing is outside most of our comfort zones. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because even I've started putting some door hangers on doors in the morning, and even that's like
They'll walk up to the door. You're like, "Duh, don't open the window."
Yeah.
But you know what though, when you're out there, the potential of meeting people and talking to them, having like real authentic conversations is all the percentages go way up. So if you're out there, I think that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Yeah, like getting out of the comfort zone. Today, after this, I'm driving by my first auction
All
that
right.
they're hosting just to go and see what it's like.
Make an offer.
But let's hop into the segue of your son Isaiah is a wholesaler, people that try and generate cheap deals for people that want to flip, and you got connected with a deal. So you're actively flipping a home today, right?
Yeah, I have one going right now in that Elmhurst neighborhood where I live. The house is maybe 100 yards from my house. It's almost too convenient.
Yeah.
Walk over there, just like
You got to flip. You're living in, and I'll flip 100.
Yeah, that's a solid neighborhood too. I love that neighborhood in Providence. You know what I mean? That's just it's solid.
Yeah, there's a lot of good character in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
which I have a partner on this one. So we're trying to keep that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one actually. So I it's on my walking route with the dog. So I was calling on it a little bit, but getting no traction. And then I saw Zach Ballew, Patriot. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ballew, I think. Patriot Home Buyers put it on Facebook, and I was like, oh, I've been trying to get that out.
What
get
a
it.
feeling, yeah.
No, it took my son a long time to get in contact with the son who owned the property because the father had died, and it was like a 5-year. The guy hadn't done anything with that house for like 5 years.
Yeah,
and then it was with the bank, right?
Yeah,
well,
went through receivership, like went
Okay.
through the whole, like the city took ownership, if you will, of the property to just try and keep it maintained. I learned all this kind of as I was buying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the open house and I made an offer that I knew would be probably a little bit tighter than I would normally want to buy. I'd say there was just an emotional piece to that where I was like, it's right behind me. Like maybe I can get it done cheaper. I know how to come in under budget. I've done it before. So I ended up getting it though, which was exciting. Missed a few pieces of the rehab, so that's run up on me. And then also, well, my electrician's given me some troubles on keeping this thing moving forward the last month or so.
And so how do you deal with that frustration? Because you have a timeline, but other people don't adhere to it. So what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, personally. Is it just
Passive
something-
aggressively. No, I'm just kidding.
That's always the best.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to see the positives in it where I know that it's a pretty tough market right now, or at least it has been. I think it's starting to turn a little bit. But I know that these 2-month delays, although they're extremely frustrating, are probably pushing me hopefully into a better time to list a house. So I'm hoping that, let's say it's $5,000 in holding costs additionally over the 2 months that I've almost been held up here. Hoping, right, we get that that we get that back on the back end.
Right.
And you may.
Yeah.
And how'd you find this contract electrician? Did you know him?
So I've actually worked with him for a few years, which is why I was getting pretty frustrated because he's always shown up before, and then all of a sudden it's been difficult.
Yeah, what's some advice on, like, for example, not trying to make this about me, but I want to have my first flip. I have a couple contractors, but like if someone needed to like do some tile work, or carpet, I don't know, what would you do if you didn't know?
Well, kind of two things because we were talking about the electrician.
Yeah.
Like I guess in like extreme ownership fashion, right? Like I could have done a better job managing him, holding him to, timelines, deadlines, holding him accountable for showing up. Maybe I put too large of a deposit down. I could have pushed back on that. Right. That's why I haven't pivoted, right? Because I gave him a deposit. Yeah. But where I've found a few people that I've actually used on this one is Facebook, like the Rhode Island Real Estate Investor Group. I'll go in and the roofer. Like I found him just by searching roofer in the group, and then you just kind of suss a few people out. I guess like what type of recommendations can you give me a couple people that you've roofed for before, call them, make sure that they were happy with the experience. But that's how I found a few people. Is in that Facebook group. I used a framer from that group too. Trying to outsource as much as I can here, just because I find that like I try and do too much of the construction piece myself.
And it disrupts the deal flow.
Yeah, and it's kind of I'm trying to take myself out of that because I don't want to rely on, my hands to I want to be a little bit higher up in
that's awesome.
The position on the deal. I will the deal maker, if you will, as opposed to like the framer. Right. Granted, I am doing a good chunk of it. I'm keeping the painting, like stuff like that. I'm going to do on the interior. As I get better and learn more, I want to outsource that stuff because it's not. It's not the best way to spend my day for me personally. Like I just don't enjoy it that much. I don't love painting.
Right.
But also I think it's not the most efficient way to spend my time either.
Yeah. So how are you running your numbers? Off your brain, or do you bring some guys through, or
for rehab costs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mostly my brain, I would say. I can get a pretty good idea of just like what things cost. Just with having like a kitchen, right? Like maybe like cabinets, $5,000-$6,000 for cabinets, right? Like countertop, you can just kind of like start to put numbers in a spreadsheet, add them up, and then give yourself a contingency. Like on this particular one I'd mentioned, like I didn't think that the windows would need to be replaced on the first walkthrough. I just had to get all the windows done, so like missed a few things. So I'm by no means.
What'd that cost you for windows?
I got them done for under 10,
that sounds
which
good.
I was pretty happy with. Yeah.
What does that come to per window?
I don't know. There were 20 windows.
Under 10,000.
Yeah, 500. What's that? $500 a window.
I don't know, around that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got it from a supplier, and then I just hired a local window installer who actually. So we had to the whole lead thing that's going on.
Yeah.
We had to put new windows on a multifamily we have in Elmhurst. So we hired like a window company to do it, and then I kind of figured out afterwards like they just subcontracted out the work. So I just texted the guy who did the work.
That's a good connection.
Yeah, he's been great. He's going to do all the exterior doors for me over there too. He's been really good to work with too, communicative, which I assume is why they're happy to work with him too. So I just kind of like figured out there, like we started getting a couple of window quotes, and I'm like, why don't we cut out the middleman here?
Yeah, that's good.
Do you think your electrician's working today?
Oh God, I hope so.
What do you think he's like? So what are some electrical things that you're working through?
Well, I need the panel.
There's no panel
yet. So I need this electrical inspection, so I can get the drywall up.
Yeah.
So I can get the insulation inspection, and get the drywall up. So that's really the big item. Is
did you have to gut it?
A good chunk of the first floor. Not completely gut. No, not a gut. Definitely the ceilings all came down.
Okay.
On that floor. You've been in there, right?
Just once. I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah. So the ceilings all came down. The walls were in the kitchen. The walls all came down in the kitchen.
It's a small kitchen, right?
Yeah, I opened up a wall. I opened up that center wall and made it like the length of the house.
Oh, nice.
So kind of adding like a little coffee bar island type thing over on like the opposite side of where the
that's cool.
sink
That's
and everything will be.
Because that was one thing I walked in. I was like, "Whoa, this is tiny."
Yeah, it was tight. Yeah, we took down a wall in the middle to just basically open it all up.
That's good.
And then tried to bring more light in there because that neighborhood, that house, the light comes in right through the back. So we added like a glass door in the back to just kind of let like natural light in, really.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like keep the charm, keep it natural, kind of with the feel of the neighborhood a little bit on that one.
I want to go way back. You were talking about You went to college. You're talking about the intellectual life. So I do a lot of reading as an English teacher, as a former English teacher. But last night I'm almost buying books online and physically. So what do you recommend as far as in this realm of flipping, or maybe something that's a little bit more like broader in scope? If you were to say, hey, you should read these books or watch these videos.
Yeah.
Because there's like Atomic Habits. Have you read that? It sounds like some of
Yes.
that stuff, that self-help stuff is. It's easy to read, and it's almost self-evident, but it's not self-evident as far as doing it. Like you're like, oh yeah, of course, you have to be consistent. Like we talk about cold calling.
Yeah.
You do 3 days and you're off for 2 months.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Like I tried to get going when I quit my job was like, what does my day look like now? And like one of the first things I did was try and put a morning routine in place, which involved it's the book The Morning Miracle, which I didn't actually read it, but I kind of took like the
Cliff notes.
The Cliff notes.
So that's the nature of some of these books. You don't really have to read them. You know what I mean?
So there's an acronym SAVOR out of that book, which is like silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, and reading. So I didn't do all of those, but I definitely made sure to mix in reading, exercise, either like a little bit of meditation or breath work or something like that in the morning, just to kind of start the day in some quiet.
Walking the dog in the morning, right? You got to give me some tips on how to look for deals while walking the dog as a new owner.
Yeah, I guess you got to explore some new neighborhoods, right? Get in the car, drive to a new neighborhood every day. The dogs love a walk, though. It's good to have a pup. You'll have fun with them. So getting back to like a couple of reading was a big piece of my morning, so I started kind of flying through books last year. So
reading or Audible?
Both, mostly reading though in the morning. Like it's a physical book, but at the gym, like I have an audio book going the whole time. So it's kind of both, but a couple extreme ownership, like I kind of mentioned. I liked that one. I read it actually again maybe a couple weeks ago just to refresh, I guess, if you will. Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Just kind of mindset stuff. What's the one by Napoleon Hill? Think and Grow Rich. So stuff like that, just to kind of put your mind in a place where like I can do this. I recently read or listened to this one actually, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Was like an angel investor in Silicon Valley, and he had a really good book. It was about happiness, faith, family, fortune, wealth, health. Like he just kind of touched on all these topics and kind of what's worked for him. I thought that was a really good book. Just a different little, you can kind of pull tidbits out of every little book.
Sure.
For ways to think about stuff. And then a couple, I read some autobiographies too, like the Phil Knight's book, The Shoe Dog, or Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. Like those are a couple good ones I've listened to lately. But yeah, just for the most part, I'm reading nonfiction. I'm not really a fiction guy.
Yeah.
But a lot of real estate. Like I've kind of probably read a lot of the Bigger Pockets books that they've published, like Brandon Turner or David Green, or like the book on flipping real estate, or those types of books.
Right.
Just because I'm kind of winging it out here, right? So might as well learn from the experts.
No, right. But that sounds like most of us. I mean, that's how you start. You think but you're involved and you're learning a lot. So I think that's just the nature of it. I think what you've done so far is really it's solid.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your goals this year? Do you set goals, or your goals?
Yeah, I do. I set goals in like a few different areas, like a personal or relationship goal. My girlfriend Lauren, like a physical goal, and then like a financial or career or real estate goal, if you will. This year the goal is to make $250,000 active income, and then I break that down into quarterly goals. How many deals does that take a quarter, and what does that look like? I'm starting to do a little bit of out of state stuff too. So I have 2 birds going on right now, in outside of Columbus, Ohio, getting into Ohio a little bit. I actually just got a deal under contract on Sunday out there in Cleveland.
Really? And you're confident now. Like, but I remember you said your first flip you were nervous. The condo, you were nervous, but now you're like in Cleveland, Ohio. No connections over there, I'm guessing.
I went out there in November and met teams in a couple different cities, in Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, a few different areas, just to shake hands with people, and so that I felt more comfortable making an offer. You know, it's a little bit different when you've never met. You know,
How'd you make that connection?
Going out there, there's a group of guys and gals in Rhode Island called the Fire Tribe. Financial Independence, Retire Early is like the acronym for FIRE. And they have kind of been ripping deals out there the last few years, and they all seem to be doing pretty well. Basically, like the BRRRR method, like, you know, buying it, rehabbing it, renting it.
Feels impossible to do in Rhode Island.
Yeah, well, I'm sure people are doing it,
Yeah.
but it's definitely done on a. Well, it's tough to find deals, and it's higher price tags out here.
Mm-hmm.
But out there, they seem to be, you know, executing this method pretty well, and basically owning properties and no money in. So I have 2 of them going right now. That actually one of them should be rented out by the end of this week. And
is it going to check out?
So far,
yeah.
So far it looks like I'll own it, no money in, right, and create you know, maybe 40, 50 grand of equity in that one, and then hopefully similar numbers on the other one.
With good, decent cash flow on the way out, or at least
it depends what you call good and decent. Like out here, maybe you're looking for like at least like probably $500+ a unit out here. Out there, you're not going to get that because property values are $100 grand.
At least $100 a door.
Yeah, like a couple $100 a month. But it's infinite returns.
Right.
So you got no money into the deal.
Right.
So just kind of playing with that a little bit as I attack what I'm doing out here.
That's cool.
Because it doesn't take quite as much of your time up when you're outsourcing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that. But the goal, at least for local to here, will be around 10 flips. Do around 10 flips this year.
Is there anything hot right now? Your next one, or not really?
I have a couple conversations going
right.
In Rhode Island and Mass, but nothing I would say that's ready for like a concrete yes.
Right.
But that's kind of another thing I'm learning is, you know, these like the off-market acquisitions, if you will. It's all about, you know, the follow-up and the nurturing of these relationships, building rapport. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, like I have leads that came in, and I'm starting to be more consistent with mail and outreach. So I'm trying to just nurture them. But, you know, my ad spend isn't quite, you know, what some of the other locals are able to put into it. So I guess that sounds like an excuse. But, yeah, I don't have a ton of deal flow yet, but that's something that I'm working on this year, and then continue to network with wholesalers, agents, and a little bit of social media. It's not really my thing, social media.
You're going to blast this podcast
a little
bit. Come on.
I try and put myself out there a little bit, but it's not my comfort zone, if you will.
It's not everyone's.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I like audio though. Pure audio.
I've never done this before. Good so far.
Yeah. So why don't you break down our 3 questions we ask all our guests? Or you got a couple more questions?
Oh no,
I got it. Come on, Rob.
All right, we ask all our guests best cup of coffee in Rhode Island.
That's a good question. I like the shit, and I'm not gonna think of it.
Where is it?
It's on Smith in Providence.
Upper Smith?
Nitro Cold Brew?
No.
Oh
boy. That's
brutal.
Waste time thinking about
Oh,
this.
that's all right.
Need donuts? No.
No. I've had their
LaSalle
coffee a couple
Bakery.
times.
LaSalle.
Yeah, ask the next question. Let me find it.
Is it upper or closer to
It's heading towards downtown. Not downtown, headed towards like the
House?
Capitol building, State House.
It's on the right or left?
It's on the right. It's on one of those last streets. Rise and Shine.
Oh, I don't know.
Rise and
me
Shine
neither.
Coffee Bar.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's your best, your favorite restaurant in Rhode Island?
Harry's Burgers.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
I've
like
never
a
been, I don't
go-to
think.
spot.
Where's that?
There's one on
Providence?
Atwell's and one on North Main.
Like South Main almost, like South, North. Yeah.
They're sliders. You gotta get 3. They come as 2. You gotta get the third.
It's mandatory.
But yeah, they're good burgers. Or they're there. There's a burger joint there.
Where's that?
Over on the west side, like Moniker Brewery. Have you been there?
I think so.
I forget what street it's on.
Is it? It's near the police station. Down from it.
Yeah, actually, it is a little bit near the police station.
I
Yeah.
may have been there.
Yep.
I've been to most breweries.
But yeah, Smash Burger. It's good burger over there.
And the last one is like, so you have a Saturday with no work. What do you like to do?
Right now, this type of weather, I'm probably, getting a workout in, and then hanging
the
out for a
dog.
little bit. Yeah, walk the dog a few times, and maybe we're my sister lives maybe like a mile from me,
Cool.
her and her boyfriend, so we hang out with them a fair
Yeah.
bit. We're probably poking around, getting something to eat or
Right.
trying something.
Nice.
If it's nice out, probably trying to golf or
God,
play
yeah.
a little tennis in the nicer weather.
Yeah. Do you like pickleball?
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe played 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So picking it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a good
Yeah.
little workout.
It is
too.
fun.
All right. Well, thanks, Garrett. Thanks for coming on,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, that was good.